Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pam Greensky, and I'm the Director of Operations here at Advisicon, and I'd like to welcome you all to today's webinar, Tactical Project Management Using Office 365 Planner. A quick summary of who we are at Advisicon. We're a group of authors, teachers, consultants, and technologists who are passionate about helping organizations learn, scale, and grow with a mix of methodology and technology to deliver results. No matter a company's size, our team specializes in maximizing your business and personal productivity by leveraging the Microsoft technology experience. We offer bi-weekly or sometimes weekly webinars, which here at Advisicon we refer to as Webinar Wednesdays, in which we spend 30 minutes up to an hour sometimes on teaching topics ranging from Microsoft Project, Project Server, Project Online, Power BI, Visio, SharePoint, to project, program, and portfolio management and methodology approaches. And with attending any of our weekly webinars, you'll receive free PDUs. Today's webinar is Tactical Project Management Using Office 365 Planner, in which you'll receive a half PDU. Just a couple things before we get started. I'd like to go over just the control panel. It should be on the top right of your screen unless you've moved it. And this panel gives you the option to adjust your volume, your screen size, and there's a few other settings on there that you should be familiar with. The audience is muted during this webinar, so in order to ask questions, you'll have to type them in the questions, it's one of the tabs on the panel, or in the chat window. And you can send your questions at any time during the presentation, and we'll collect these and address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. If for some reason we don't get enough time to address all of the questions and answers, Ken and I will make sure we get back to you guys via email or call you. So it's now my pleasure to introduce today's presenter, Ken Lowen. Ken is one of Advizicon's senior project managers and one of my very favorite instructors for the Webinar Wednesday series. So I will hand this over to Ken now so we can get this webinar started. So take it away, Ken.
Thanks very much, Pam, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. Let's start in quickly as we talk about tactical project management using Office 365 Planner. I've got a couple of different things on the agenda here that are going to be foundational, and then we'll quickly get into an actual demo of the tool. We're going to talk a little bit about the context in which you should evaluate whether Planner is going to be helpful for you in your project management. We'll talk a little bit about some of the broader context in which Microsoft is going with its project portfolio and program management tools. And then we'll get into actually building a plan and some of the dashboards that are available in Planner. And as Pam indicated, if we have time available before the end of our time together, we will take some questions and answers live. Otherwise, we'll be glad to get back to you after the fact. So Microsoft provides project and portfolio and program management tools for every scale of your organization or your individual or team. And they're serving more than 20 million users in 10,000 customer organizations with these various tools. Let's take a look at this analysis of where they're trying to position those tools. And recognize that the definition of a project varies from team to team and organization to organization. For some, it could be a small event. For others, it could mean building an airplane. And also the types of teams that are working on those projects are very different. What are their capabilities or expectations relative to the tool? And so the ability to shift as needed in order to equip your teams with tools that they have the capability to use and are willing to use in a way that is helpful is very helpful itself. Starting at the bottom left, we think about low complexity and specifically task management with a tool that Microsoft bought fairly recently called Wunderlist that they're in the process of rebranding as Microsoft To Do. As we look in the upper right corner, we see the capability to run more robust, powerful projects with potentially a workflow-driven intake process of rating and ranking the projects, visualizing demand management and resource capacity, tactically managing work, having linked activities, deliverables, milestones, timesheets, possibly integrating it with your line of business systems, all while having an integrated SharePoint site in Project Server or Project Online. The middle segment is the one where we're going to focus today. The medium level of complexity for teams that may be ad hoc or more flexible, but could also span up into broader project teams, executives who want a lighter touch on their tool, or even down into projects being managed by individuals. So we've set the foundation for why planner versus project in talking about some of the capabilities of those two potential tools, our medium and upper segments on the preceding slide. In project, we want to be thinking about doing lightweight project planning. We want to be thinking about task management and assigning resources without the power of capacity planning. So potentially we are operating in an environment where people don't have the bandwidth to go through training on Project Server, or frankly, they won't value the information that is there. I think of a number of years I spent on consulting projects in various consulting organizations where I attempted to bring in project because I, as the project manager, was going to value the information it would allow me, but others on the project team, whether they were from my client organization or from my own organization, depending on their typical skill set and the typical work style, were less accepting of the power of Microsoft Project, and so we had to adapt to other tools. Planner gives us access to the latest collaboration technologies, many of the same technologies that we have access to in Microsoft Project. We've got simple task management, and that lack of complexity is part of the value. And the ability to let teams work in different tools on the same type of a project is a capability that is similar to Microsoft's model in dealing with Team Foundation Server, or in more agile projects where you can use multiple tools like Team Foundation Server in concert with Project or Project Server, and in selecting different tools for different roles. So the project manager can manage, plan, and forecast in a tool with a higher level of capability. Teams can work in tools that allow them a simpler approach, but they're managing more detailed tasks. Some of the broader context that we operate in, Microsoft is seeing that their next wave of PPM investments, you've already seen an increased focus on agile. We're seeing increased support of program management and increased capability to do financial management analysis using the capabilities of Project Server and Project Online. With Project 2013, they introduced out-of-the-box reports into the Project Desktop client, and there's an increasing visibility of additional reporting capabilities out of the box through dashboards that they introduce in Project Online, and some tools that are coming online with Power BI. We're seeing investments in native apps across devices so that your Android and iPhone platforms will give you additional capabilities, or in a tablet, so that we've got folks who are going mobile with their project management or task management activities using the tools that are well suited to that, and perhaps better suited to that mobile situation than taking a typical laptop with you. And then in the lower right, we see Planner and Wunderlist as a nod to the approach that we're talking about today. We're not here yet, but the visibility or the expectation is that we're going to have easy integration between Project Online, and here we see a view that we don't exactly have yet today for managing our detailed project schedule in the Project Online tool, but the expected capability to right-click on a task and drill into a plan in Planner or into a plan in Visual Studio. So if we've got groups of devs that are working on detailed tasks or bug lists or feature lists in Visual Studio, there is a roadmap to get to a point where you can just easily step from Project Online into those other tools. Okay, so the story with that is it's a better together picture from Microsoft. Putting these various pieces together, whether it's Planner and Wunderlist or Microsoft To Do as it's now coming on, Project on the desktop, Project Online, Project Server, Visual Studio, all of these tools are going to be operating better together so that we can bring a consistent approach to project task resource management with a different selection of tools for our different user communities or our different stakeholders. Okay. So let's move into our demo now, and we're going to bring up Planner. And let me just drag over my browser window here and maximize it for you so that you're seeing my Planner hub in my web browser. And what you see at the top of the screen, we'll start with a little bit of navigation so that you understand where we're going with all this, is you see my favorite plans that I've promoted up to give me high visibility of those. I've got color coding for each one of these where I can see that yellow is showing me the segment of my tasks that are not yet started. Red is showing me my late. Blue is showing me tasks that are in progress. And green is showing me completed tasks. Over to the left, we're seeing my quick launch menu. And this is a tool that you should become familiar with because you're going to be seeing it in more and more of the Office 365 tools. So we've got our navigation to the Planner Hub. We'll go take a look at my tasks in a moment. And then we've got the 4 favorite plans, and down at the bottom of the list, we've got all plans. And you're actually seeing more than just plans. You're seeing the capability to have plans, as some of these are merely Office 365 groups that I belong to, because when you create an Office 365 group, you automatically have the capability to create a plan within that group and have all the collaboration with your group members on that plan automatically. So let's start thinking about plans specifically, and we'll take a look at one of these plans that I've got selected. I'm just going to click on this Marketing Team Office 365 plan that I'm assigned to. It's managed by one of my colleagues, and you can see a variety of things about the plan in this detailed screen, which is our board view. And so in the board view, we see that our plans are organized into a group of buckets that are flexible. We can create the buckets that we want to create for our plan to organize the tasks in a way that is helpful to each individual plan or each individual project. And I'll use the term project and plan interchangeably today. I can change that group by, if I want to, with this drop down up in the upper right, and I can show it based on who these individual tasks are assigned to. You can see that I've got some that are still unassigned, some that belong to me, some that belong to Brian, Jean, Tim, and if I scroll over, we'll see that Jeff has tasks which are presumably completed because I've got a drop down here where those have been hidden just so as they don't distract us. It's very easy to add people to our groups. Just click on the members list. I can add the names of other people in my Office 365 environment here just by typing a name, and Pam will be added to our group. That's what she gets for coming to today's webinar. And now I can assign some tasks to her. click on this particular Web Wednesday dashboard task here, and it opens up, and I'm going to add an assignment here, and that's going to get assigned to Pam. And one of the fun things about Office 365 is it's an evergreen environment, so there are constantly changes being made. When Planner was first debuted about a year ago, you were only able to put one user onto a task, and you're now able to add multiple users. So expect to see continuing developments for this. I can also, should it be easier for me, just drag tasks over to the user. So I drag that ensure budget is approved to myself. I can define team roles and assign that to Pam, and define who will be the site owner and give that to Brian. And in this case, then I can see I've got some unassigned tasks that have gotten done before they got assigned to anybody. Let's take a look at some of these other views that we have. I've got some charts in here. And so in this case, I can see a pictorial view of my tasks by member, and I can hover over that and I can see that I've got 2 in progress and I've got 1 that is late, and similarly across the rest of my team. And it's very simple to create additional tasks if I want to, or to group these as necessary. I'm going to go back now to my hub, and you'll see that I've got here in the menu a notebook. And so as part of our integration within Office 365, I've got the capability to have a OneNote Notebook for this particular plan or project. And with that OneNote Notebook, then I can easily organize all the information around the project in terms of discussion notes or diagrams or meeting notes that I want to share with the rest of my team. I can also, should I want to leave the plan, I can remove this from my favorites. I can subscribe to email updates about those various changes if I want to. But I should point out, this particular project is one that I don't actually own. I'm a member of the team on this project, and that means that what that's demonstrating for you is that this is all around high collaboration around these projects. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a new plan here. And so we're going to create a plan around the 2017 PMI Portland Annual Conference. And so this is automatically creating an email box for me so that I can include this plan repository in communications about the project. I can make it public across my organization so that anybody who wants to can come in to see all the plans that are available and join this one at will, or I could turn it off and make it private so that you actually have to be invited to it. And so this is going to be our plan for participating. And then I'm going to create the plan. And so now this is creating that workspace, that Office 365 group, the OneNote Notebook, and the additional capabilities that we want to have in our plan. And it's that simple to create a brand new plan. And so once this does so, we're going to create a few tasks here that we will manage in our plan. As we think about that, you, in addition to being able to include the plan on email lists or email distribution lists or threads about the activities in the plan, we also have the capability to receive updates about our tasks. So you can get emails that notify you that you've been added to a task or a task has been assigned to you, or notifying you that somebody has completed a task. And that's hugely valuable. so that you're not having to come in and monitor specifically each task in the plan to see if there has been an update. You can be watching things like the dashboard that we looked at to see which ones are highlighted as red for late, so that you're able to manage by exception that way. You can also, of course, institute Outlook rules for managing the population of emails that you're going to get about those task updates. And while this is creating our plan, I'm going to go take a look at some of the other tasks that are live in this project right now. When I click on a task, I have the selection of the buckets that are created in this plan that I can move this to if I want to. I can also create tasks on the checklist. So ensure budget is approved. I can say prepare budget submittal, schedule meeting for budget review, announce budget approval. And this way I'm managing the basic tasks or a basic checklist here that will get me to having my budget approved. And I can choose to show this on the card or not. And so if I don't choose to show this on the card, then I get a task that looks like this one right here. If I choose to show them on the card, then I get this one right here. As we're taking a look at that, you see I've also got these tabs up here, and these are flexible tabs as per the project. So for the project or this plan, we've designated that pink is going to be the status report, orange will be the PMO, green is going to flag for low priority. I've got red flagged as being urgent, but this particular task is not flagged as urgent, and then blue is set for sprint planning. You see I've also got dates indicating I've got tasks that are delinquent. And so if I group this by progress or by my buckets, so we're going back to the buckets that we designed for this particular task, and I've got the capability to add new buckets if I want to. When it starts out as a new plan, it's just got a to-do bucket. So it's very light at the beginning. With the let's see, remaining capabilities that I wanted to be sure to show you, so I showed you moving it between people. If we're doing this in terms of an agile approach, maybe I've got something in my backlog here, I'm going to move this over into sprint 1, and that way I've just handled moving that into the sprint. We can manage it, and then when this is done, I can easily mark it complete right there, and thereby signal everybody that the task is done. When I come down here, I can show that, and should review indicate that it's not done, I can reverse that decision just like so, and this task comes back into my active set of tasks. You see that I've got my checklist here. I can check things off, and it's going to keep track of those. And in line with that, for this particular task, I can also attach documents or put URLs in here to information about that task if I need to. I can maintain comments in here to the extent that I need to. And so a lot of flexibility around a really simple to use tool that's got a lot of powerful capabilities. It's using a lot of the collaboration in Office 365. And I think that you should evaluate using this for some of your maybe project tasks that you've got a mere task description in your project schedule, and you want to disaggregate this into more of a to-do list. This could be a useful tool for you. And as the increased integration with Project Online or Project Desktop arrives in future releases of those products, I think that capability to go back and forth between those will be even more capable. But if you've got an environment where your project manager is the only person who's really updating tasks in Project Server, Project Online, or Project Desktop, and you're relying on others to be doing work, this would be a really convenient tool to provide them. It gives you a little bit of overview into what's going on and might reduce the requirement for them to step out of their normal workflow to create task updates for you. So I urge you to explore that and look forward to hearing about your experiences doing that. With that, we are just wrapping up here, and I want to summarize some of the points I made. Again, Leverage Planner and Project. This is available to you in Office 365 if you've got an E3 or higher license. It's integrated with the Office 365 collaboration, OneNote, Outlook, and that is kind of our key points. With that, I'll hand it back to Pam.
All right, well, thank you, Ken, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. We welcome your questions, suggestions, and we want your feedback. For more information, please contact Ken Lowen or Pam Greensky. Once you exit today's webinar, you'll receive a survey on the presentation, and we would appreciate it if you would complete and submit the survey in order to get your PDUs. You'll also receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to view the recording of today's webinar. We post these up on YouTube usually by Friday. On behalf of Advisicon, Ken and myself, we thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you participate in future webinars. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everyone.